All right, and we are live. Welcome, everyone, to episode 41 of Narrations and Lamentations with Matiram and the Boys. I am your host, Matiram, and with me, as always, are the boys, Skip and Michael. Say hi, fellas.
Hello.
And tonight, to help us celebrate the Lizardmen, is the unofficial honorary fourth boy, Vince Venturella. Say hi, Vince.
Oh, hello. I'm super glad to be here. I'm sad I'm not, back down with you still, so I can keep playing, D&D and everything else we did. We could have got 20 or 30 more games of Warhammer.
Hey, it works.
There you go.
Yeah, we very much enjoyed having you down, Vince, and any time you happen to make it, the door's always open for you.
I appreciate that.
So tonight we are going to be discussing the Lizardmen. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these army-focused shows, but part of the reason is that we were trying to find people who were players of that army to join with us and talk about a little bit about it. We have pretty much categorically failed. So I play Lizardmen, so we figured we'd go ahead and do it, and we brought Vince on because he commonly plays against Lizardmen. So we're going to have tonight be one player and 3 victims, and we'll kind of discuss it from that point. But first things first, let's get into a little bit of hobby time. What you been working on? Start with you, Vince.
I finished up that Chimerian Sphinx today and posted that on the PMP. I was very happy about that. That thing was a host of work. And now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to next. I'm thinking it might be some snakes, some little purple stalkers there. Ooh, staring at you. They're very scary.
Well, they seem to, at least for a while, worked for Lord T before his fickle nature drove him away from them.
Oh, they're terrible. They're god-awful, but that's not going to stop me from using them and or modeling them. They're beautiful models. I don't understand why them being bad should influence my decision.
Right. So let me ask, how many of them do you already have?
Well, I have 6 Necro Knights right now already, but these would be 3 actual Stalkers, right? So not without the Surfer on top.
Right. Okay. So that's somewhat less excessive than your billions of Sphinxes, right?
There is no reason to ever stop with Sphinxes. I have 2 battle reports coming from the trip that show that the all-Sphinx army is nigh undefeatable.
Well, when anything that matters in your army is toughness 8, that kind of does put a damper on things. All right, Skip, what have you been working on? What's been on your table this week?
Really nothing. Actually, I hadn't really had time to do much. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm the party pooper.
All right. Well, it's all right. We need one slacker. So Michael, what about you?
More elves.
Uh-oh, I can't hear Michael.
More elves.
There we go.
More elves.
More elves.
And again, still painting neither of the armies he's playing in our narrative. So we've got one slacker. Say what?
So what matters is I am painting.
All right, I'll give you that. I, however, have been more on task. I have been working on the last bits of my Lizardman army yet to paint. I got 4 bases of swarms done, an additional priest, a second salamander troop, and 10 more skink skirmishers hot off the presses as of like 10 minutes ago.
Nice.
With javelins and shields. So this leaves me 10 more skink skirmishers that I'm going to knock off tomorrow because it's my day off and I'm all alone. And then I am completely done with everything I own from the Lizardmen until this weekend when I get a box of Cold One Nights from my girls for Father's Day. So
I still have some of the old Cold One Nights that are ridden by skinks, where it was like skinks on the Cold Ones. It was like
what?
I don't know. It was there was it was in the Dogs of War Army. There was like a regiment of renown that was a bunch of skinks riding Cold Ones. They're amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. But so yeah, so the Lizardmen are shaping up. I actually found out that when I finish these skinks, I will be able to field 2,500 points of Lizardmen. I will have the bare minimum core for 2,500 points of Lizardmen, and then if I use every other model I own, it gets me right to 2,500. So
Probably an important fact for me to
Super.
have known like 2 weeks ago.
yeah. But you know what? It turned out well. I still beat you, so.
You did. You absolutely did. You want to talk about earned? Oh boy.
But it's okay because Karma worked it out on you. Because didn't you do the opposite thing to Lord T?
I did. I was 500 points under, and I still lost again. So, like, hey, whatever. 500 points over, 500 points under. I just need to be near your point value to lose. That's what it matters.
You're at least consistent. That's what it is.
That's right.
Okay. So before we get too off topic, as we were accused of rambling a mite last week, so let's drag it in a little more. Lizardmen. For those who don't remember or may not have seen one of our previous Army review books or posts, yeah, whatever. We are each going to rate the Lizardmen on a 1 to 10 scale in 3 areas. First is fluff, then mechanics, and then general fun to play for or against in whichever you happen to do. Since we are a little one-sided here, I'm going to actually let the victims go fuddle, I guess, when we get to that point. So, Vince, as our special guest, go ahead and give us your ratings.
Okay, so I'm sorry, it's been a little while. Hit me again. What are the 3?
It is fluff, mechanics, and fun in that order.
All right, fluff. I'll give them a solid 5. I find most of their fluff honestly kind of boring. The one thing that saves it for me is their connection to the old ones. And as long as they never actually explain what the old ones are, that will be interesting. The second they actually say what the old ones were, thumbs down. There's no answer that's good enough, right? Because whatever I can imagine is better. So I like the frogs knowing the old ones. That's cool. That's a neat thing. Mechanics, probably like I'd give them a solid 6. There's a couple things they're missing that make me kind of, I don't know, like there's a couple things they're missing that just I feel like they struggle to deal with. They struggle to deal with like really high armor, especially like Cav or something. Mechanically, they have good units. I just feel like they're restricted. Their core are fairly underwhelming, except unless you're talking about just skink clouds, which I'm not. Those aren't necessarily fun to play against. And but they have cool monsters. It's just some of those monsters are again fairly underwhelming because the monsters themselves are fairly mechanically underwhelming. They look awesome. Now, actual fun as something to play against overall, probably a solid 9. They're a good army. They can usually play quite tactically. They make you think. I've never had a game against Lizardmen that I thought was like, oh, I'm just on autopilot here. I know exactly what they're going to do. They're a very mobile army with their little skinkies running around and they, Cav moving around and stuff. And I think they're very fun, both as a player and somebody who gets plays against them.
All right. Out of curiosity, just to touch your point on fluff, when you said knowing what the old ones are, so what about if the rumors are true for 9th and they're just gods that can be worshipped like any other god? Is that enough of a spoil of what they are to ruin them for you?
No, that's just people saying like I worship the old ones. That's just as much of a mystery. Right, like whatever, they're Exwaddle, they're something. They were old ancient beings. I don't think we know anything more about them. We just had some people decide to worship them. The Lizardmen seem to venerate them in a pseudo-religious way already. So I don't think that's that much farther. I don't think that's a bridge too far.
But I think for me the thing that would actually make that a bridge too far is that they would get. I mean, if what it says is true, they'd get their powers for the army directly from the old ones, and I think the enigmatic untouchableness of them is part of their appeal to me. But
gotcha.
Anyway, so who's next? Skip, Michael?
I'll go next.
Okay, let's hear your ratings.
All right, Fluff. I'd have to give it a solid 8 because I like to think that they actually worship the old gods like Cthulhu and Hastur and all like that. So as long as I'm keeping that in mind, I'm thinking that it's a good Fluff. So I'm going to go with 8. Mechanics, they seem to be pretty strong. Anytime that you can get a lot of units that shoot poison, you're going to, have a really at least a semi-competitive army, because that's always going to be a nice ace in the hole to have. Playing against, until he brings out that Saurus block, I give it a 10. Once he brings out that damn Saurus block, 1.
All right. I'll comment on that later. Michael, give me your ratings.
I kind of feel like he doesn't like your source block. It looks very pretty.
I'm just.
I mean, aesthetically they look awesome. Yeah, I'll give him a 10 on aesthetics, but
It's not only that, but he's like, because I use what is arguably the worst unit in the game, core unit in the game, I'm horrible, and that's what makes it unfun.
yes.
Skip wants me to use nothing but in my core for any army I play.
That's a scary army. I've seen the 400 zombie army. That's not a thing to be
I'd rather you
Well,
not.
no, he's not going to give me lore of vampires to res them, though.
Ah, okay, never mind.
All right, Michael, what are your ratings?
I think fluff wise, I give him a solid 7. Mainly, like it before then it would probably been a 9. I enjoy the Lizardmen fluff, but after the they flew off in spaceships in the end times, it just kind of went, well, that makes absolutely no sense.
I would like to up my rating 1 on Fluff for remembering that they have spaceships. That is the exact opposite of me. I'm going up 1 for spaceships. Go ahead, Michael. Sorry.
Of course you would. You have an insatiable love for Ratman.
Anyway, so your mechanics rating, Michael?
Mechanics, I'm kind of with Vince. I give them a 6. They against certain armies, they are fantastic. They've got the toughness and the strength, the number of attacks. But I mean, they've got armor that they can deal with. But when you set them up against armies that are heavy armored with high end strength, they get crippled by it. I mean, like Vin said, knights, they have a really hard time going through. I mean, strength 4 at the end of the day just doesn't cut what you need. And without the prevalence of great weapon units, you really don't have anything to take care of that. I mean, you've got monsters, but if a knight can outmaneuver a monster, or it can probably do it.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, too, is, I mean, if you look at the monster's strengths, it's not all that much higher than their normal troops. They don't have a lot of super strong monsters.
Yeah, well, because you end up most of your base monsters are strength 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
4 or 5,
even your Bastillodon's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which is bizarre to me. That thing needs a bump in strength. That makes no sense to me.
I hold to the fact it makes a lot of sense if you think that it's not really a dinosaur, it's just a sword in a costume.
It's like 2 sources in a costume.
Well, think about it. It's movement. It's movement 4. It's strength 4. It's toughness 5. So they may be like a little bit tougher because of the suit. But yeah, it's Saurus in a costume.
That all checks out.
Yeah, I can live with that answer. That makes them better.
Right, and what about your fun rating?
Fun, I'll give them. If you're playing against the tournament level Skink Cloud, it's an annoying. I'd probably make that a 3. But if you're playing just normal Lizardmen that kind of have a flavor of everything in it, I give that solid 8. I like playing Lizardmen where there's a couple Skink units, there's Saurus, there's Slon, because I like running Slons down with hammers. Get
You bastard. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and rate my rating in terms of fluff. I'm gonna go with a 7.5. I can't come with a whole number on that one. I like a lot of their fluff, like the fact that they are the first races, the connection to the old ones. I'll be honest, the whole spaceship bit it erodes it for me. I don't like the sci-fi chocolate in my fantasy peanut butter. But I tell you, the biggest thing that kicks me in the nuts in terms of the fluff of the Lizardmen is their fucking naming conventions. The joke names drive me nuts. Like the tic-tac-toe and Oxel, who has his great blowpipe of Patooey. I don't like it. So I gotta erode some points for that. Mechanics, I think you guys are about right. I'm gonna give it a 7 in terms of mechanics. I think it's a very mid-tier army because it is missing the ability to deal with armor. It's got a lot of fun tricks to it. There's a lot of fun moving parts of the army. So it's a cool, like, toolbox style army. It's just missing a few tools. And in terms of fun, I'm going to read a last play in these guys. And I think I've mentioned it on a couple other videos before. They very rapidly become my second favorite army after ogres. So to have basically eclipsed all of my other armies, you got to know I'm having a good time with them. So, so to I guess to talk about this before we get into anything deep, I actually want to poke a little bit more at Skip's Saurus hatred. What's up with the Saurus? Why you gotta hate?
Because in like the 2 games I've played against them, I've only managed to kill maybe 2. Because I don't have high armor. I'm playing the 2 armies that don't have any armor, or pretty much, So I'm having a hard time figuring them out. Maybe once I figure them out and how to deal with them, then I'll move that number up. But right now, that's the bane of my existence.
All right, as our expert Lizardman fighter, Vince, give him some hints with Wood Elves and Dark Elves how he can take out a Saurus block.
Sure. If you're playing Wood Elves, just avoid them. Pick up all the rest of his points. Like, the Saurus block should be the last thing you touch. You're much more mobile than him. Focus on the skinks. Blow away the skink clouds first. Who cares about anything else? The Stag's going to take forever to get to you. If he gets there, he's going to blow up 1 unit of Blade Guard or something. Stay mobile, stay moving. Use, like, poison shots to bring down the big monsters when you need to. As far as the Bastiladon goes, you can just straight ignore that thing. I would kill it with Wild Riders if you can get Wild Riders in the flank of it, which by all accounts you should, because it's move 4 and they're move 9, ridiculous. That thing will blow right through it, and like they'll reduce that thing to paste in the span of 1 attack. Like it will never swing. There will just be a fine red mist that used to be 2 Saurus in a Bastiladon suit. Once all the skinks are dead and there's just a big Saurus block remaining, you just walk away and shoot it, and it lumbers around slowly after you. If you need to engage it and you're playing like Wood Elves, don't. There's no good answer. Like, honestly, if you can put Wild Riders, if you can put 6 Wild Riders into the flank of a Saurus unit, they'll probably reduce it to ashes before they go down. Like, those Saurus will live, but then they'll just be easy to pick up for the rest of your army. A unit of 6 Wild Riders puts out something like 18 or 21 or some number, I don't remember off the top of my head, attacks, most of which are at strength 5. I mean, it's just, there's no armor left. They're wounding on 3s. They're re-rolling their hits. That is a dead Saurus unit. Like, they're going to pile the casualties. And even cold-blooded, is not going to matter. Like, it's whatever. They'll turn and cut them down because they're dudes in t-shirts. If you're playing Dark Elves, that's even easier. I mean, Dark Elves have all the tricks in the world. Bubble Soul Blight the crap out of them. Skinks are already T2. Your Dark Shard should literally win that shooting war in the truest sense possible. Like, Dark Shard should look at Skink units and laugh because they have the same number of shots if you're using the blowpipes at a much longer range and wound on 3s. And they should just, like, Skink Clouds should just explode. Big Doom Bolts will just, from Brolox, will just make those Skink Clouds go away. Same tactic, just ignore the Saurus, Bubble Soul Blight when you need to go in, Bubble Soul Blight, send Blackguards in the front, or Witches in the front, or something like that that's going to put out heat, and bring any of your other units into the side and break that unit hard. How's that?
See, not hard to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, they're just slightly stronger spear troops. That's what you got to remember. They're not scary. They're just spear troops. They're just dumb lizards with spears. There's just a lot of them.
Yeah. And they're
just hard to break.
Yeah, and they just look scary because the damn unit footprint is so big with them being on 25 mils.
Yeah, like, they're admittedly hard to break. They are a heck of a tar pit. They are a great anvil. Like, I will stand behind Saurus as a great anvil because they're on probably really decent leadership because there's probably some kind of Saurus character who's tough to kill in there. And they, you know, roll. They're cold-blooded. So, I mean, they're probably, like, checking on 8s, 9s, 10s. They're never running unless you break their steadfast. So, really, the key is just pick up all the rest of the points and ignore that thing. It also moves slow. That's the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I think what else gets me is the predatory fighter thing. Because Josh seems to always roll, like, 8 6s or something like that. Well, it seems like 8 6s. You know,
it's not that bad. I don't roll that good, Skip. But the thing is you're letting predatory fighters scare you. It's basically just a lamer version of poison.
Yeah.
I mean,
statistically speaking, it generates 2 additional attacks.
Well, let me answer. I want to rebuttal with this. How many games has the Lizardmen lost in the campaign so far?
Well, that's just because I'm a better player than y'all are.
Ouch. Ouch.
Oh.
Sick burn.
Oh, yeah.
I think they are really strong at 1,000 points. I'll say that.
Wow.
Like, at the level you guys are playing at in your campaign, I think at, like, the 1,000-point level, they are very strong. Like, that's a real good sweet spot for them. That big source block, you can't meet it with equal-sized Blackguard or something like that, Skip. Like, elite armies suffer at 1,000 points because you just can't. You can't get blocks big enough on the table to actually tackle that thing, right?
Oh,
Whereas he can just crap out dudes. Yeah, I mean, dwarves are dwarves. They're whatever. Like, I'm not counting them. Yeah, I'm just talking about elves. Yeah, like, specifically, wood elves are not going to put anything melee on the table that's going to handle that at 1,000 points. No. The trick is run! Just like, this is the motion you need to learn to beat it with wood elves. Just this right here. Just running. Just running away.
And that's what I predicted from the beginning, is that the Lizardmen would be very, very strong up to a certain point. And then once the points go, I'll be honest, I think I see them weakening from the way we're doing things once we get enough points where I can introduce the Slan. Because the Slan becomes just a giant target of points without a whole lot to protect it, depending upon what point value you're looking at.
No force on Earth has killed more Temple Guard than Slan.
Right. I don't even have Temple Guard yet. Mine will be floating out there being all ghosty Obi-Wan Kenobi style shit.
Yes.
And then he'll get shot by one pissant core unit from the Wood Elves that have magic arrows on them and die.
Oh yeah. If he floats that ethereal Slan, Skip, you better have just get them true flights ready. Just that's a dead throw. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess that'll go into my second question since we started talking about the Slan. All the fluff points to the Slan being I believe the book actually calls them the unparalleled masters of magic. True or false, and why?
Do you want me to take it first?
Yeah, you go. You go ahead, Vince.
Um, false and true simultaneously. So, like, the problem is there are, like, 4 unparalleled masters of magic in the Warhammer world. That term, like, gets thrown around, like, the greatest spellcaster in the world. Like, the Pentultimates of Tzeentch, the most ancient elves, the super duper Slann, and probably somebody else I'm forgetting, are all, like, the greatest casters ever seen. Now, that being said, I think Slann mechanically do earn that as much as anything can, like, short of being a special character in Incarnate or something. They're level 4. They have all the necessary stuff. They have high magic. They have any of the 8 lores. They have, and then their little Slann abilities they can buy are pretty amazing. I mean, honestly, I don't know other casters have the ability to manipulate things the way they do. Their Wandering Deliberations is amazingly powerful. They're the one that lets you move a miscast up and down. I mean, that's crazy good. There's a lot of stuff they can do in there. Being able to go ethereal, that's one of the Slann powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's that set of, like, frog special powers that make them that mechanically. And it's hard for other things to, like, certainly Chaos Super Sorcerers are more scary in melee, right? They are also deadly wizards and pretty good in melee, but I wouldn't expect the frog to fight.
Yeah, that. So what about you guys? You've seen me play a couple of times with the Slann. What do you think in terms of unparalleled magical might?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
I
counting
haven't seen.
my. No, go ahead, Skip.
I said the only time I've really seen it was in the Triumph and Treachery game, so I don't have enough to make a basis of decision on it yet. It looks interesting.
Yeah. I find as a new Lizardman player, I look at this Slann and I almost wonder if it's not a trap. Because I look and I see so many cool powers that I can give them and all this. And then you look at, by the time you're done tooling out a Slann and it's fucking 600 points and your BSB and your general, it's like you do one thing wrong and there's almost 1,000 points that you've just gift wrapped your opponent in frog paper.
Yep, because he is still infantry.
Mm-hmm.
He is regular old infantry. Despite the fact he's on a 40 mil and he's a fat frog, he is regular infantry, meaning he can be thunderstomped and killing blowed and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Run down.
Yep.
Shut up, you.
I have KB'd frogs in my life. That's a thing that's happened, and it is very demoralizing to my opponent, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Here's the other question for supposition. Imagine that they were going to do an actual real 9th edition instead of this crazy crap that's coming down the pipe.
Allegedly.
Right. Well, this question makes no sense if we're going to go with any of that being true. So, and we were going to see a 9th edition Lizardmen book come out. One of the big complaints about the Lizardmen is that their core units are very, very limited. You basically only have 2 core options. What kind of thing do you think would be a good addition as a core them something a little bit different?
So I've got a couple.
Yeah.
So from a core perspective, right?
Yes, purely core, because they've got a lot of tools in special and rare, but the core I think is the big deficiency at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One, let Saurus take a different type of weapon, like be able to equip Saurus with great weapons. Like that alone would solve half your problems, because then you would have a great weapon troop. I mean, Saurus are already initiative 1. The difference between 1 and ASL is not. And so, like, just they couldn't find a bigger rock to swing around than the stone spear they're already using. Like, just make it a bigger rock at the end of the spear, and you've solved this mechanical, technological marvel that they can't seem to wrap their heads around. And like, I think the other thing is, honestly, I want to see those. I mentioned those skink riding cav. I would love to see some skinks back on some top of something, some kind of little skinky core cav, like a fast cavalry thing. I think that'd be sweet. Put little skinks on something, not necessarily cold ones, but I don't know. There's plenty of weird dinosaurs or things in the jungle they could ride.
I'd like to see like micro troglodons. Maybe
Sure.
like the those little dinosaurs from Jurassic Park with the frills that spit poison.
Oh yeah, ichthyosaurus.
Yeah, put like 5 of them in a little fast cav unit. Leave them a little poison spit action. It would be interesting because it would be the mount actually making the ranged attacks, which would be kind of cool.
Oh, that sounds super sweet. Yes, that is. I'm totally on board. You sold me. Just see. Plus, it'd be fun to. They'd have the big hoods. You paint that. That'd be cool. Totally down. Yes. I think just those 2 little things would be awesome.
Anything from you fellas?
I was going to say the fast cav option because that's something they don't have or have access to.
Yeah.
You know.
It would give you more of an option to make an even more avoidance army. Well, for in my defense, I have not yet pulled the total skink cloud bit, so I haven't annoyed the crap out of them with this army yet. Except for apparently my Saurus are super annoying. So.
Don't worry. The first time you put 80 skinks on the table, the perceptions will all change. People will be praying for Saurus blocks to return.
I'll have to double the number of skinks I got right now, but I paint them fast enough that could be doable.
Oh dear God, no. You leave as many Saurus in that army as you want. I can deal with Saurus. Skinks? I movement 3 don't have anything that can turn on a dime. Those things fuck my day. Oh, it's next day? Well, guess what? It's going to be there the rest of the game. I'm not turning around. I'm going forward.
Their little blowdars are really good at wrecking your helicopters, too.
Yeah. It's not like I'm peasants that'll stay there and fight those helicopters.
That's right. He's a man.
Power to the peasants.
Ever.
That's right.
I'm sorry, what was that, Skip?
I said powers to the peasants.
Right. For those of you not knowing what we're laughing at, stay tuned for Vince's battle report for when he takes on Michael. It was amusing. Or no, it was against Skip, wasn't it?
Skip was playing as worse. That happened every time I put those archers on the table. I just want you to know that. Those guys were passing panic checks the whole tour like it was going out of style. They would never run. Just nerves of steel.
And people say peasants suck.
Not when you never roll more than a 5 on 2d6. They're great.
All right. So I'm trying to think of my other questions that I had here. Okay, the cowboy thing. Let's talk about that a little bit. If you look around on the internet and most of the forums and stuff that talk about how to play an effective Lizardman army, it's all about the cowboys. Basically, you should have your Slan and then fill up every bit of characters with Cold One riding Saurus Scarvets. I guess question 1, A, do you think it's a good idea? And B, do you think it's a fun idea? Or is it something that can make the army a little too cookie cutter and detract from the fun?
Do you have a cowboy hat actually and lasso actually modeled onto the Saurus? If the answer is yes, then there's no way it could be a bad thing.
Okay. And let's just go operate with the answer being no.
Okay, got it. All right, fair enough. No, I think cowboys are good. I mean, Scarvets and whatever old bloods, yeah, that's the name of them. Are really, really tough characters for their points value and where they sit. I mean, old bloods are like really good tough lords. They're swinging with the heavy hitters of the game, right? And with any kind of halfway decent kit, they pose a real threat. I don't know about filling it all up. I think that's overkill. But I think two Scarvets or Old Bloods, maybe three, somewhere in that range, that's a frightening thing because they alone in the flank of a unit can just ruin someone's day. Like, they can go hunt war machines effectively. They're tough. They can break. They are death to any enemy chaff they touch. Period. And even small units, they'll just cream them.
I absolutely agree. Having been on the receiving end of that with our occasional Lizardman player who showed up, it's rough, and it's something that I think is so unusual to see something so small have that killing power. If you're not prepared for it, it can come as a real freaking surprise when they just hit something and blender it.
Yep, and they're right in that sweet spot, right? Because you don't see people put vampires out there alone, but that's because of their cost and the fact that they're unstable, right? Like, they're a little too expensive and they're unstable, so if they lose combat, they're just dead. Whereas, like, Scarvets and Old Bloods, like, they're just cheap enough, and if they lose combat, heck, they're cold-blooded. They're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, that's when we were playing our larger games. I mean, even not using them as cowboys, just plunking a couple of Scarvets in the front of a Saurus block changes their killing power just 100%.
Yep. Yeah.
But any comment on the Cowboys, fellas?
Well, if you look at it, I mean, you're looking at the main out. I mean, they're putting out 4 attacks for the Scarvet and like 5 for the Old Blood.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, that's about right.
They're advanced, solo paladins. Because you can almost do the same thing with Bretonnia. You can put a bunch of solo paladins out there if you really want to. They just have a little bit more hitting power than the paladin does.
Well, and, I mean, it's real easy for them to get a 1-up rerollable armor save. You give them a great weapon. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, hell, cold ones actually do damage. I mean, that's 2 strength 4 attacks from the mount. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of pain.
It is. 1 or 2 in an army, I think, is a must-have. If you're going to be if you're playing a competitive army. But I think you could go overboard with it and really take the fun out of it.
Well, I think the bigger issue with taking a Slon and then maxing out character points in Scarvets and Old Bloods with Cowboys is you're already getting screwed on a lot of your points being divvied straight to one character. You go, yeah, I'm going to take 4 Cowboys. Well, you have 4 Cowboys that are going to do some damage, but I've got units. I'm eventually going to work pushing. Because you just don't have time. And I think you can really go way overboard with it.
Yeah, I can see that. So, last question before we get into last discussion point before we get into the viewer questions. What do you see as the best matchup for Lizardmen, and what do you see as their worst matchup, their toughest matchup?
So their worst matchup's a little easier, but it's anything where it's almost 1-ups across the board, right? Like, especially if it's a highly mobile group of 1-ups. Demis or Skull Crushers will just chew up their infantry blocks because that's what Monstrous Cav is meant to do. They're relatively immune to skinks. They can. What do we do with all the arrows? We fight in the rain. I mean, like, that's all that's going to be, right? Like, that's ding 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 all day long, and nobody cares. And like,
just pray that your Slon is on metal.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You better wandering or whatever the heck that thing is, where you can switch out your high magic, just start ditching into metal as fast as possible. But I think that anything 1-up across the board is some of their toughest fights. So Empire, Warriors of Chaos with like Skull Crushers, that kind of thing. Their easiest fights anything that they can easily avoid and bring their poison to bear on. So exactly the inverse. Low armor armies, things that rely on like big toughness, like Tomb Kings are a real tough fight for Lizardmen because like T8 matters not a whit when the skinks come around to knockin'. And like, we don't have blocks that can as easily stand up to your blocks. We just have crappy skeletons that crumble. Without a Tomb Guard or Grave Guard block that's fully kitted out, that will chop up any equal size Saurus block without batting an eyelash. It's just very frightening. That army has all the right answers. And you're also strong enough in the magic phase to shut down the Tomb King's magic phase, which is the thing they rely on to win.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think, Skip?
I agree with it. I think something with high armor, as you pointed out, would cause problems because you don't have the great weapons. You don't have the things that can really cut into, something that solid. I think the slower armies, like Vince said, are going to be something that's easy matchup because you, like Vince said, and it gave me good tips. You could just play the avoidance game and not even have to worry about it if you have high speed. So something with slow speed, like the Tomb Kings, is going to be their best matchup against.
I can certainly agree with that. Any thoughts from you, Michael, on that one?
Speaking of armies that they're not really equipped to fight, I think any army they go against that can outshoot them at range is a difficult matchup for them. I mean, you look at Skinks Skinks got poison, but their range is 12 inches. You park a Wood Elf unit 30 inches away with no penalties, buy Skink unit. And any army that can easily outshoot you is an issue.
That toughness too makes them die to a stiff breeze anyway. So anything that can get over their minuses to be shot, which is really their only defense, is going to bring Skinks to the ground relatively quickly.
Yeah, that's one of the few places Tomb Kings shine against them, which is if you have an archer heavy Tomb Kings list, then you're great against the Skink Cloud, but terrible against their blocks. But yes, I'm not sure the outshoot them list is longer than the Wood Elves. Maybe kind of Dark Elves in certain Dark Elf builds, but not a lot of people run the heavy Dark Shard build.
You don't see that too often.
Yeah,
I mean, you only got... Oh, burn. You've only got, what, 10 or 20 Dark Shards, Skip, altogether?
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah. So, before we go on to the questions, apparently we've been getting comments, and I, for some reason, hadn't been getting them. So, let's see. Nicholas Belair, the hard counter to Saurus block is Purple Sun. Yes, it is.
That's a good answer, Nick. Boy, oh boy, is that a good answer.
Yeah. That's one plus side I don't usually have to worry about, is we've pretty much blacklisted Purple Sun around these parts. Says the old ones seem to be an exact counterpart to the ones in the World of Warcraft. Super advanced race that promotes order above all and builds worlds. Yeah.
I mean, sure, World of Warcraft is a direct ripoff of Warhammer, so yes. In its early stages, it was Warcraft was going to be a Warhammer game. They just lost the license, and so we're like, screw it, we're going to keep making this. So, yeah, that was...
Really?
Yeah.
I had never heard that.
It was like the negotiations break down before they ever had it. Whatever. You can go look up the Torrid history. It's hilarious.
Okay. He also... Apparently Nicholas is the only one watching us tonight, because he fires back with another one. In Skip's defense, 35 Saurus at 1,000 points is tough with our campaign rules. Yes, it is. And we kind of discussed why that was. He also reminds us that the Bastillodon has no flank, which I definitely agree and understand, but that's not why you want to hit him in the side with, or in the flank with, or the long side if we're not... You basically just want to get all of those attacks from the Wild Riders. Correct. You're not going to get all your attacks if you hit them in the front. It's the size of the base. But yeah. Oh, burn, I think. It's all right. My Tusaurus in a costume don't fear you. All right. So speaking of Nicholas Belair, I think he was the first one to submit some questions to us this morning. So we kind of talked about their greatest weakness. So we'll skip over that question because I think I agree with you guys. I think armor is really the biggest thing that stops them cold, and an army that can be more shooty than they are. But here is a question I think bears some digging into. Why aren't the Lizardmen more popular?
They're weird. I mean, I think it's that simple. They're weird.
Okay. In what way?
They're lizards. I mean, did you ever see V? Scary, right? I mean, like they're lizard people. They're not. It's not a human or something you can easily wrap your head around. Like you have to have a certain sense of an aesthetic to go, yeah, lizard people. I'm in for that. Like I'm not saying it's that out of the box, but you know, when somebody looks at an Empire army, it has an aesthetic that is classical or Bretonians or even chaos with big chaos knights and stuff. Like these are rough human analogies or elements of classic fantasy or something like that people probably have nostalgic childhood memories of the first time they read Lord of the Rings or something or whatever it happens to be. Whereas lizard dudes are just weird, bug-eyed lizard dudes. Like it's harder to go, yep, those speak to me.
Yeah. That's it. Well, I've figured it out now. I need to add Mark Singer to my army. Then I can beat him.
What?
Mark Singer. Didn't you watch V?
No.
I was with you, Skip. Absolutely. V, yes, terrible television show from the early 80s. Lizard people masquerading as humans. Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
At any rate, I will add on to that, keeping us back into the topic at hand. I actually think that the fact that they draw more from a South American kind of a cultural aesthetic is another thing that can put some folks off. Particularly in this country, I don't know how it is across the world, Europe and whatnot. I think there is a relatively narrow definition of fantasy, and it does tend to be mostly European style, medieval aesthetic. And so I think when you take this inhuman army that people have trouble connecting to anyway, and you put them in a framework for an aesthetic and a fantasy element that isn't sort of drawn from that same cloth, I think that's where you get a lot of the losing people in terms of the interest in the Lizardmen.
I think you're probably dead on. It's not Western and it's not Asian, right? Which are like the two big fluff monsters of the aesthetic world. As a quick little point of comparison, I don't know if any of you ever played Rifts, but like Rifts South America and South America 2 were like the least popular books that were always on the shelves, whereas all the Japan and China and the Western European books always sold out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's even after they turned them all vampires. When I seem to remember South America was pretty much all vampires.
No, it's Mexico.
Oh, it's Mexico? Okay.
Yeah. South America's all like Puma people.
See, I didn't even get the South American ones. I stopped at Mexico.
So book 1 or 2, I'm trying to remember. It's one of those.
So many books from that series. I'm sure Caleb Goodson will pop on with a comment at some point. He is a raging Palladium fanboy. He'll correct us at some point.
Yeah, that's fine. It's great. It's a great game. I had a lot of fun with.
All right. So next question, and we've gotten actually a couple of different ones in regards to this. So we'll deal with the Lizardmen the Lizardmen monsters all at once. The question, I think this was from Merrick, one of the newer fellas, says, "Why is everyone so quick to say their monsters suck?" And then he goes on to, which monster is your favorite, and which one do you think has the greatest utility and untapped potential? All right, I'll start off. I think the reason why everyone says their monsters suck is that they're comparing them to some of the more in-your-face, beat-sticky monsters. With the exception of the Ancient Stegodon. The monsters in the Lizardmen, I don't think are, and maybe the Carnosaur. I haven't played with him yet, but I don't think the monsters in the Lizardmen are designed to just go straight for the throat like a lot of the other monsters are. So you typically see lower movements or lower strength, and it's if you can't run it into a unit and have it eat something, then the general consensus is they suck. Thoughts, fellas?
Yeah, completely agreed. I mean, there's nothing particularly sucky about Lizardmen monsters. There's something sucky about 90% of the monsters in the game. Lizardmen monsters are no better or worse. Ancient Stegs are great. That Sharpened Horns is amazing. That alone is worth their point cost. They will blow up enemy monsters they can get on the charge, or anything. That being said, they just suffer from the same thing as anything else. The only good monsters in the game, for when people say that, not that I agree with this, but the only good monsters in the game from that point of view are Chimeras, Hell Pit Abominations, and Frost Phoenixes. And that's because they're all ridiculously tough things that can go fight a unit by themselves. Because they have the either regeneration or massive ward saves or whatever to be able to withstand cannonballs and wounds and deal out outrageous punishment, or in the case of the Frost Phoenix, just shut a unit down.
But I think the Slaughter Brute is cool.
Well, on the bright side, you can get as many Slaughter Brutes as you want on the second-hand market. I bet pretty cheap.
So that may give you an idea, just that one comment alone, as to why I don't think the Lizardmen monsters suck. I'm going from the vaulted heights of the Slaughter Brute to. So what do you guys think? Any comments in terms of why people say they suck from you two?
I'm with Vince. I think being a predominantly dwarven player, every monster to me is just how many cannons I gotta put into it. It just becomes mathematic. I hit him twice, he's gonna die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You look, and I just can. Why most you die before you get into combat? That's kind of.
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that the Lizardmen can kind of do to help in that is that they have so many different types of monsters, you can kind of just drown your opponents in options as long as you're not stupid with the placement and giving them like a line on a couple of them at a time.
Well, I think that's.
No, go ahead.
I think that's the nice thing about the Lizardmen monsters. I don't think they suck. I think people are looking at them and going, well, this doesn't do what Chimera does. It's not supposed to do what Chimera does. It's got other purposes that it has to fulfill. I mean, you go, oh, well, my hammers don't do what my Ironbreakers don't. What my Ironbreakers do. Well, yeah, one's great weapons, one's shields. One's an anvil, one's a hammer. Two different purposes.
So, any comments on from you, Skip, on this particular suck or not suck?
Well, you have to look at the overall Warhammer 8th edition, which favors cannons anyway. So anytime that you put a monster on the table, if you have a cannon, it's going to be pointed right at it. Which 9 times out of 10, depending on the monster, and I think the 3 that Vince mentioned are the worst. But a lot of times, just a regular, infantry block can handle pretty much most monsters eventually before blowing it off the board. Now, there are some that are a step above that, but I think it's just the perception that, oh my God, this thing is big, it needs to die. And I think that it just kind of carries over because there's nothing really with the Lizardmen that stand out like those 3 that Vince mentioned. I think it's not just a Lizardmen. I think it's overall monsters in general that are getting the bad rap because of the predominance of cannons now.
Well, that'll be the plus side of this new 9th edition since they're getting rid of gunpowder.
No, all the important armies get to keep them. Myself and Michael, we still get our cannons, so that's cool.
Actually, from everything I've said, the dwarves aren't an army yet. They're just an auxiliary that anybody can take, aren't they? I mean, hell,
If every model still exists in the rules, then no, they're still an army. That's what the rumor said.
Yeah. Well, it also
I will hold
it
by
also
the
said that it also says that no one believes in the dwarves' existence and they live under the Empire making them cool shit. So
Mysterious
none of
dwarves.
this already.
yeah, no, the new fluff sucks. I'm gonna bring you guys up to speed on it later, but
No,
yeah,
we are
if
not brownies.
yeah, no, you pretty much are if the
Oh,
fluff is right from all the links. It's all right.
no.
Elves are imaginary too, and nobody believes they exist either. So
That all seems legit.
yeah.
Huh?
Like I said, I'll bring you guys up to speed on it later. Can you tell Vince the fact that I love that these guys don't read any of the rumors?
It's pretty solid. You can just watch our show. We spent like
Just
40
for the
minutes
free.
on it, and we didn't even get into the fluff very much, just because it's so much.
Yeah.
I read it. I mean, I read the spoiler, one of the spoilers today, and as I was going through, I just kept shaking my head, shaking my head, shaking my head, and just I'm going to pretend that it's like a dream, and it's never really going to happen, and we'll just go on with Eighth for the rest of our lives because that fluff sucks.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
I'm okay with that.
50-50, it's not even real, so there you go.
Yeah.
That can make you feel
Yeah.
better.
Oh.
All right. Well, let's rein back into this. So,
Okay.
next part of this question: which monster is your favorite? I'm gonna go out on a limb and be probably laughed at for this, but right here, that's my favorite, right there.
I knew you were
Give,
going to pick that thing.
yeah, I'm not hard to figure out once. I love the Trog. I mean, the fluff on it is cool. The model is amazing looking, and I get to spit on people I don't like. So that's all of my three favorite things.
I like it. I want to say Carnosaur, because I like T-Rexes. Those are sweet. But the answer's got to be Steg. You know, the Steg is classic. He's been around forever. It's the earliest incarnations of the Lizardmen. Once they became an army and not just the weird Slan army, the Stegs have pretty much been around, and they're just cool. They're big Triceratops. They have little dinosaurs riding them. That's fun.
What do you guys think? Skip, Michael, do you have a favorite that you've seen me play yet?
I'll, I always, when I was growing up, my favorite dinosaur was a Triceratops. So there's my answer.
Gotta go with the Steg.
Got to go with Steg.
Megalith Steg.
Can I say one other quick thing here?
Yeah.
There's a moment in Thankful where I think it's Teeny Weeny or somebody lines up a bunch of Bastillodons in a row. Like he puts like 5 Bastillodons in a row and has each of them shoot their laser forward into the next crystal and then into the next crystal, and it makes like this super powered beam that comes out the other side of it that just like rips through the Skaven and just like he makes a nuclear blast like Omega Beam's beam. And if that was a rule, I would be picking Bastillodon. Why isn't that a rule?
I like the Bastillodon. It's nice to have a monster with a 2-up armor save. There's just something very, very good about that. Even if they are slower than anything but the freaking Saurus in the army. So here is the question: which monster do you think has the greatest utility and untapped potential? I'm going to answer this twice over. I think the Stegodon has the greatest utility. Just between the Ancient Steg and the Normal Steg and the various options, easily the greatest utility. In terms of untapped potential, I'm going to go back to my buddy the Trog and say that untapped potential is not currently present in this rule set. But if you look at the fluff and what they're trying to accomplish, there is a lot of cool shit you can do with that model. So I think there is some untapped potential there that GW just kind of dropped the ball on.
I would pick Bastillodon with the engine-y thing on top of it. Well, I don't remember what it's called, but whichever one The engine that makes the other Lizardmen faster.
The solar engine.
Yeah, there you go, that one. I like that one. Its little attack that comes off it is neat and quite useful. And that +1 initiative sounds so stupid and small, but it can be such a big deal. Sending like your Temple Guard to Initiative 3 is a huge deal. So like against a lot of armies, not against elves, of course, but against a lot of other armies, it really matters.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Any thoughts?
Hard for me to say because we haven't really seen all of them on the table, so I'm going to reserve my judgment until I see all of them.
All right. Well, then my next list will be Monster Mash, and I'll let you see all of them at once. How about that?
That's fine.
I do have to say, I wish someone other than Mazdamundi could be a Slan riding a monster.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Like I want the Slan should be able to ride any of the monsters except for arguably the Carnosaur. I mean, big old Bastiladon, you replace the solar engine with a Slan on a crystal, that would be freaking awesome.
Absolutely agreed. I think in the old days, they used to be able to do that. Like, I want to say in one of the older books, maybe like 5th edition or somewhere in that time period, I think you could stick any Slan on a stag. I feel like that's true. One of your viewers will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but I really think that's the case.
That's cool. I do want to say I saw an image of, I think it was a Forge World Slan that they made who's kind of relaxing, that gave me an idea for a new terrain piece. I want to make a spawning pool and then just paint him in like a Speedo chilling on the side, because he's like relaxing in this like, I'm a pimp in a swimming pool pose. Like, I don't think I would ever use him like in the army, but it would be fun to just be like Slan chilling beachside.
It's nice until you realize he's actually spawning right now.
Oh.
Gross.
All right. So some loser sent us the next 3 questions. I think it's some guy named Vince.
Seems a questionable guy at best.
Right. So question 1. When the Lizardmen return from space, what new things should they bring with them from their time in the stars?
Bigger weapons?
Bigger weapons. Yes, they should learn how to... Right, they should learn how to find bigger rocks.
Yes. They've traveled the vast depths of space, learn the secret of larger swords. I want to see them bring back a cool genetically modified dinosaur. Like another neat dinosaur thing. Like if they visited weird planets, whatever, they can pick up whatever they want. Bring some weird non-Earth analog at all dinosaur back. Just a crazy thing. Jurassic World just came out. They're making new dinosaurs. Look, it's a thing. We make new dinosaurs. Let's do it.
Don't you remember
I guess.
Don't you think it's a bad idea to make a genetically modified dinosaur?
Jurassic World says no. Well, maybe it actually says yes. I don't know. I've only watched the trailer, but that's irrelevant.
Yeah. I would like to see them like crossbreed skinks and carnosaurs and make little like monster-size velociraptors.
Oh man,
that you could just have in packs, like Chaos Warhound size, and just like these are my skink velociraptors.
Yeah, totally. Like legitimate real-world velociraptors that are like 3 feet tall, not like the movie velociraptors.
Yeah. But like, I mean, imagine like the skink body with like the big jaws and the freaking giant. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Like if Yoshi was put through a nightmare machine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or speaking of nightmare machines, if anyone actually saw that Super Mario Brothers movie, like the Yoshi from that's about the right size. I'm talking.
There you go.
That's what they should bring back.
Dinobots.
Dinobots, no.
Yeah.
Oh, if they come back with Grimlock, I'm collecting that army the next day. Like that is the end of that.
See, now I feel bad.
Say me Quest Dwarf.
See me feel bad now. Jesus, I feel bad now that I've been writing like the voice for my Saurus Warrior and not doing that. I really should have. But Um, so number 2, what is the most underrated unit in the Lizardman book from your perspective? I haven't played with them yet, but I'm leaning towards jungle swarms for that. I think the idea to just like park them next to somebody and be like, I'm going to give you poison attacks on anything that hits you is just ridiculous.
Yeah, because they pass that along, right? Like they have some kind of, they actually give poison attacks outright.
Yeah, basically the way they work is like if they're in combat with something, anything that is attacking that thing they're in combat with has poison attacks.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see that. I mean, the idea of like parking them next to some unit and hitting them with my Saurus block and be like, here are all of my predatory fighter poisoning spear shots right in your face just fills me with joy on some level, just as much as I know it's going to make Skip cry.
I think that sounds awesome. My selection's got to be the Ripper Dipper Doos. I think those Ripper Dippers are just unbelievably destructive, and I think they're easy to use wrong. But I love me them Ripper Dactyls.
I do have to say I'm very impressed with the Skink Chief on a Ripper that I was playing with when you were here.
Yep.
Like that sumbitch is badass. So, any comments on you from you guys? I know you've not dug into the book as well as I have, but anything that you have underestimated when you see me put it on the table and we're just like, holy shit, that's awesome.
The one that shoots fire.
The salamander?
Yeah, the salamander. Yeah, you gotta go fucking tough.
So I shouldn't bother telling you I've made another one?
Oh, I the other one. You know what my husband is? 2 cannons.
Right. What about you, Skip? Any thoughts on this particular question?
You know my feelings.
The Saurus Warriors. Oh, Jesus, Skip. All right, number 3. If the Lizardmen were to get a true war machine, what would it be? I actually would love to see them have some sort of like magic-powered stone thrower or something. I mean, so much of their stuff is based on like meteors and celestial alignments. It would be awesome to give them some sort of like old one technology that lets them scoop comets out of the sky and huck them down on somebody's head.
Nice. All right. I can see that. I would go for, I want to see that Bastillodon thing taken to the next level. I want to see them wheel out like a crystal-powered laser gun that just like rips like artillery dice times 4 inches straight forward in a line at some kind of variable strength, just like zip, just little laser beams. Magic powered, of course.
Right. I could see that. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go back in time a little bit, not in, like a laser advance. You remember in Return of the Jedi where the Ewoks had those 2 big massive stones that they cut a rope and it just came down and smashed like the little small AT-AT? I think that's what the Lizardmen should have, something like that.
Ewoks?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a cannon that shoots Ewoks at people. I'm online for that. The other thing I think would be cool is something like what the dwarves have with their iron breakers, where your champion can get a shooting attack. And the thing I was thinking from reading the fluff yesterday, it talks about how there are so many like blood-sucking insects and whatnot that can drain a man of it, exsanguinate a man before his bones hit the ground or something to that effect. Like, it would be awesome if, like, your skink patrol leader or something could huck, like, a yellow jacket nest at somebody. and it's like a little small template, and it's just like boom, they explode and drain blood and sting people, and then they die. That could be kind of a cool pseudo War Machine-y thing.
So basically, you're looking for the bugs out of Alienator. There you
Right.
go. Yeah.
So what about you, Michael? Any War Machine you'd give the lizards?
A catapult that flings dinosaurs.
A catapult that flings dinosaurs.
A flamethrower that launches a dinosaur into the middle of the map. Because some reason it makes me hurt because I realize that just in the middle. I like the idea of like, a dinosaur onto the engine throwing and I'm like, survives this.
That makes sense.
You can only a template of just like dinosaur landing on a unit. Kind of have a giant template falling over. I think that'd be neat.
The fallen T-Rex template.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very strange. So last question. How do I get which one to work? I've tried a lot, but it's never worth its points. The model's too awesome not to be used. Well, first of all, as anyone who has watched my story or my channel for very long, Rasmus, you would know that a model not working has never once stopped me from putting it on the board. Ultimately, I think it's like with a lot of the Lizardmen monsters, excepting, of course, the Stegodon, you got to realize what they are and what they're not. The Troglodon is not one of those kind of monsters that you're just going to hurl into a unit and have it eat the unit and run them down. The Troglodon's really for handling smaller problems. I would keep them sort of as a flank protector for your big Saurus block if you're going to play one. And then, or send him out alone with the Cowboys so his Scream can buff them in a crucial time, something like that. And I think it can really surprise your opponent when your Slann is way off to the side or maybe in with a unit in combat, and then you start firing off magic missiles from the front of the Troglodon. Because remember, he works just like the Skink Priest. You can fire spells through him. So I think he's very situational. I'll be honest, I don't know if you're ever going to really get his full 200 points out of him, but he's a fun model, and he can be tricky if you really put some effort into it. Any counter thoughts, Vince, as you've played against Lizardmen more time than I've played with them?
No, I think you're right. I think you nailed it. I 100% agree.
Okay. Well, that's very, very simple. So last question that actually just got popped up to us by United Wargamer. How would you make the Monster Mash work for Lizardmen? Very simply, all the Stegodons. I mean, you can go with, in a standard 2,500 point game, you can get 2 ancient stegs in rare, 3 normal stegs in special, and I think you can get another ancient. You might be able to get another ancient and another normal with Skink Priests and Chiefs. And just one big old line of Stegodons that hit people in the face with them. That would be my advice for the Monster Mash there.
Yeah, agreed. I think the basic point is, do that thing. Really do that thing. Like, I mean, don't half-ass it, right? Full-ass it. Like you want target saturation. It's easy to shoot down 1 steg. It's hard to shoot down 6 stegs.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, just the fact that you've got, I mean, really with the Lizardmen, you could, other than like a skink cloud for core, you could have nothing else but Stegodons and a Carnosaur on the table and use all your points. Don't bother with a Slann. Just go Old Blood on a Carnosaur for your general. Do a hell, for that matter, you could do a Scarvet on a Carnosaur for your BSB. Then your Skink Priest on an Ancient Steg for your Magic. And that basically just to hold the freaking Dispel Scroll for you. Then your Skink Cloud for your core. Then nothing but Ancient Stegs for your special, nothing but normal Stegs for your special, nothing but Ancient Stegs for your rare. And just stomp holes in people.
I like it.
And then, yeah, it would be fun, but God, would that be an expensive army. just like, that was the one thing that put me off of getting the Lizardmen for so long, is that all of the cool stuff I wanted are in like $85 kits. And I still probably want to get a Carnosaur at some point too, but I'm like, I can't. Like, my budget right now does not have a space for another $85 kit.
That being said, you can find the old Stegs on eBay or secondhand places really cheap usually, like the old 5th, 6th edition Steggy that's like metal. The one you could kill a man with by hitting him in the head with it, like he's a murder weapon as well as an actual unit, because he's just a solid hunk of 10 pounds of metal. You can generally find those pretty cheap.
Yeah. Of course, my problem is like, now that I own the plastic one, which looks so good, like, I don't want to step back to the metal one that doesn't.
True.
Because I was so happy with my Ancient Steg and all my magnetization, but I definitely want to get another Carnosaur, or another Carnosaur kit, and actually do it up as a Carnosaur. Of course, I'm wondering if it wouldn't be cheaper to like try and just buy the bits for it somewhere, because I've got all of the like Carnosaur side of things. I don't know. I'd have to see. But I think that's the end of our questions. Anybody have any last general comments on the Lizardmen?
They're a cool race, and they're neat, and I don't think there's any chance of them going away. I think they will definitely stay in the game, just because I think they're not going to abandon something that's fairly unique to them and interesting. So I think you'll see them around. Whether or not they look like they do now, I don't know, but I think they'll stick around for many years to come and be an interesting thing.
Right. On round bases with their laser weapons that they brought back from space.
I, for one, welcome our new Exolotl overlords.
I, for one, am going to enjoy far more 8th edition games in the future, I think. But yeah, so hopefully you guys all enjoyed watching this. I know it's been a long time since we've done one of these Army shows. I know there also are more popular, so hopefully this one's been fun. I think we treated the Army with the respect and due diligence that it deserves. I would like to actually call out one thank you that actually led me into playing the Lizardmen, and it was actually Lord Tremendous. About, I'm guessing 8 or 9 months ago, he did a review of the Army book where he literally goes through it page by page, and he put in so much showmanship to it and made it sound so cool. I was like, I have to get this Army eventually. So we will unofficially dedicate this episode to Lord Tremendous and give the official thumbs up. So, again, I also want to thank Vince for being willing to be a last-minute guest for us. I didn't get up with him until today, and he has made space in his obviously hectic painting schedule for us. So thank you, Vince.
Happy to do so anytime, sir. It's always an honor and a pleasure.
Fantastic. Any last words, fellas?
Saurus.
You realize by doing this, you make me want to get another 32 of them, right? And just field like 2 giant blocks coming at you.
Go get them, Michael.
Why me? So much fun.
Because you're the only other one that plays with us.
Slog through 'em. I don't want to do that. That's so much effort. I just hide in my mountain and nobody bother me.
No.
See, you're already prepping up for 9th edition lore.
Right. Just go and hide under the Empire and make us cool stuff, and no one ever has to see your army again.
Yeah, we'll never bother you again. Easy.
That's not how those two.
It's one fully painted army.
Right. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and put this one in the record books. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.